I'd like to call this meeting to order. Our April meeting of Mississippi Wildlife Fisheries and Parks. And I'm very pleased we're having this meeting today. As y'all well know, it's named after my father. So then I've been coming here a long time. And it's people that are in this audience today drove down that road today and looked at me. I can't believe I'm in Mississippi. I mean, this is an absolute, you know, how many people this is the first time you ever been here? I mean, look, it's a diamond in the rough. But anyhow, before we get started, I'd like to recognize a couple of our Corps of Engineer friends that are here that we are privileged to. We're on their land and we operate it. Mr. Antonelli is here with us today. We're glad you're here. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Johnson, thank y'all. We enjoy working with y'all very much. And also we have Joe Wood, which I'm sure most of y'all know, and Barry Biggers with the with Turkey Federation. Excuse me, I'll get it right in a minute. But before we get started, I'd like to call on my friend Jason Thompson to open us up with a prayer.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, Lord, we thank you for this day, this beautiful day that you have allowed us to see. We thank you, Father, for bringing us here safely, for giving us traveling grace. We thank you for this gathering. Father, we pray right now for our commissioners, our executive staff, and the employees of this agency. We thank you, Father. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jason. Okay, members, if y'all had a chance to read the minutes, if you do, I'll accept the motion that we adopt the minutes.
So moved.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The minutes have been adopted. Today's agenda. Any changes on it, Mr. Posey?
What we need to do is under law enforcement, we removed the two gentlemen that get the license reinstated this time, so we will not be stating any license this morning. So other than that, the agenda should be as it is, and at this time, I see no need for an executive session.
All right. Do we need to adopt the agenda?
Go ahead.
So moved. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor? All right. Our next thing on the agenda we call public comment. We have people wildlife people from all over the state like to come and voice their opinion. We always encourage that, but we also like to put a 5-minute rule on it. I get the lawyers to time it. Normally, 99% of the time, we don't go over 5 minutes, but sometimes somebody gets a little talkative and wants to talk longer than they're supposed to. So, but with public comments, I'd like to recognize a gentleman from Smithville, Brad Pierce. I got a bunch of friends from Smithville, so I'm glad to see you.
Any names?
The Kennedys. The Kennedys, he was the mayor over there when the tornado hit.
Yeah, just tore us up again.
Yeah, he had 2 in a row. Well, not in a row, but in 5 years apart. Go ahead, you welcome.
Well, I'm from Smithville, and I'm land in Helena County as well. And the deer hunting with dogs is a serious problem for us. They're running the roads, shooting from the roads, shooting down the roads. There was even a game warden last year that wrote a ticket for an individual sitting in his truck in the road and had shot a small buck and had shot down the road in the direction of the game warden. And it's an every weekend thing. I can go back on my logbook and it's every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. Wide open holidays. There's more of them there. And we'd just like to see something happen so we have some rights as landowners. I mean, they own or lease a small piece of property, 80 acres, that connects to the southwest side of my property. They'll all come in and turn the dogs loose, and then here they come up the road north, and you better not meet them in a curve. It's gonna be head-on collision. They'll come to the top of the hill where the deer usually cross in my place, and, you know, they'll shoot down the road, they'll shoot across the road down through my property. I have stands down on the creek that I would love to let my nephew sit in, but when we go, I'm afraid to even us separate and them sit on that side and he sit on another, or vice versa, because I know what's gonna happen. And I'm not asking for the dog hunting to be outlawed altogether, but this is 2023, and you know, if you're actually out there where it's going on, there's days and there's weekends that's like the Wild Wild West. I mean, there's arguments, fist fights, threats. I've had my threatened to burn my cabin down, burn my woods up. And I'm not the only person. If it wasn't for the tornado, we had about a dozen people that was coming today. But everybody's scrambling to get their house together and roofs on their houses and get back in order. But we need some help.
You'd be surprised how many people just like you have been before this commission.
I've heard.
And we've got rules now where they gotta get off the road. They can't, obviously they can't hunt them because they shoot across the road. They gotta get off of it. We had the Forest Service put them where they had to be off, and they complained about everything, so.
All right.
The dog hunters have, you know, they've got their place, but over where I live, all these dogs now got a collar on them that whoever owns the dog can stop the dog in his tracks. They can stop him. First of all, once the dog starts running, you can't tell them, you know, they don't know when they cross the fence or cross the line. But that's not true. They can mash that button and that dog will stop and come back to them.
Well, these individuals, just to give you an idea, my property's on Stegall Road, El Woma County. It's right off Highway 25 north. They'll turn the dogs loose and they'll go north up to my creek bottom. You might hear a couple of gunshots if the deer gets across the road and down through the bottom. They have crossed the river, and these same individuals that only lease the property on Stegall from Weyerhaeuser have been seen multiple times, pictures taken over on Highway 23, which is miles from their lease. And there's no telling how many private landowners that they run over, and individuals trying to take a kid to the woods to hunt, and it just blows everything out of the water. I mean,
Well, we've been told that our law enforcement can obviously keep people from shooting, you know, on the road or whatever. That's against them. But as far as, it's a legislative issue. It's a legislative issue. We've heard that all of our time. That somehow the dog hunters have, they're well liked to the legislature somehow. I don't know what the answer is.
they're well connected with each other. I mean, it's like a game. They got radios, you got cell phones now, and you can see a game warden. I'm sure any of these guys that work as a warden officer can testify that, you know, by the time they get there and the radios or cell phones been used, they're sitting there like they're just innocent and just trying to catch their dogs. But, you know, we've already heard gunshots and stuff that same day is the reason we called it in the beginning. I would just like to see, I got friends in Georgia. Me and my girlfriend both have friends in Alabama where they use the permit system, and everybody's getting along really good. The dog hunters, the steel hunters, everybody seemed like more respect for each other. It gives the game wardens some leeway to actually write a ticket. I mean, ask them how many tickets they could go and actually write that would stick in court. You have to have somebody show up as actually an eyewitness or have a picture or a video of it happening to even prove it, or it's thrown out.
Yes.
You know who your state senator and state house representative is? The Mississippi legislature, who are your representatives?
Sir?
You know who your representatives are in the Mississippi Senate? Mississippi Senator, do you know who it is?
He's from Angry.
But no matter, I would encourage you to talk to him.
Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, talk to Hob and, really, anything beyond what we have now has to happen at the legislature.
Right.
This commission has, according to our lawyers, has no more authority, whatever. We
understand.
support dog hunters and we support private landowners.
I understand. I would just like to see something, some middle ground established before something bad's happening. Because
Well, we get
my neighbor
some-
back here, his property is on the route to the school buses on. Same thing. They're shooting down the road, and that's not funny.
We understand.
Yeah.
We're concerned too.
They fly up and down the road with the school bus around. They got no concern about the school bus. I'm gonna tell you an issue that happened to me personally on my property. I was one of the first ones in our area that started developing food plots and doing that. And they hunted my land. I didn't have it, I was into everybody that hunted. But when I got ready to use it, I put up a cable across the road, built food plots down there. Well, I came to the RSOB in Monroe County. Had nails thrown in the road, one individual right down the road with a pistol took out the window, shooting bullets popping off the trees while we was in the shooting house.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yes, that's what's going on, and it wouldn't take much to stop these individuals, somebody's gotta get stern with it.
We appreciate y'all coming. We know, believe me, we're well aware of what you're talking about. In fact, we deal with it just about every day.
Yes.
But, and all we've been told by our lawyers is it's a legislative process, and something's gonna be passed out. Now, we have put in some plans at other places, the Homachilla down there, we got an agreement with some landowners down there, and more or less stopped it.
And what was that?
Down in South Mississippi, called it the Homachilla National Park,
Yeah.
National Park. We got some landowners that live there and got some on the dog hunters. They came to an agreement.
They did.
They came to an agreement with the dog hunters. And so, and I tell you now, you know that they can stop the dog. If you used to say, dog don't know, he just gonna keep running that deer after he smells it. No, mash that button, that dog will turn around.
Yeah, all these guys have GPA systems.
Oh,
They
they-
ride around with them out the window of the truck. You know,
They come on my property with a thing that looks like a TV antenna, looking for the dog.
so what kind of agreement would you have with these guys?
Well, I've not, Lynn might be able to, but we worked out an agreement with the people down in that live in that Homachilla National Park, and it's.
Mr. Chairman, we can get with them later. It's been almost 10 minutes now.
Well, we appreciate
Yeah.
it. Hey, we know, we got your message.
Yeah, I'm afraid, we're not gonna be reading about a mass shooting somewhere else, landowner, and he's hunting, but it's gonna be a mass shooting over there.
Yeah.
It's getting serious.
I tell you what, the landowners can get together with their legislators and get something done too.
That's what we'll do.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate y'all being here. Aaron Barton, we'll talk about this. He here?
I think it's coming around.
Barton Outfitters out of Oxford. Aaron Barton is on the schedule to speak today we put, the legislature in their wisdom has put, fees on, these no licensed the fishing guides. And that's what he wanted to speak about. I'm sure he was in favor or not. Then we have a Ron Sykes. Cease. Talk about the turkey regulations. Ron, glad you're here. Thank you.
Ron, he left the department before he came on, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I retired from the department in 2012.
Oh, yeah. I ain't been here that long. Almost.
So good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to address the commission. I'd like to respectfully share my thoughts with the commission regarding managing wild turkeys in Mississippi. In my opinion, there are 4 significant opportunities for the agency to consider addressing regarding wild turkey regulation, monitoring, and management. These includes habitat management, a physical tagging system, requiring a permit for residents to hunt wild turkeys, and supplemental feeding of grain during spring turkey season. Land use changes is one of the primary reasons for the long-term decrease in the statewide turkey population since 1990. During the last 40 years, turkey habitat quantity and quality have consistently decreased due to urbanization, lack of burning, loss of pastures, conversion of hardwoods to pine plantations. The agency should consider clearly quantifying these losses and the resulting impact on turkey habitat to gain a better understanding of why turkey populations have decreased in the state. Additionally, the agency should consider focusing efforts on educating and assisting interested landowners with implementing proper habitat management techniques for wild turkeys. Habitat will ultimately dictate wild turkey numbers in Mississippi. Regarding a tagging system, implementing the physical tagging system and requiring resident hunters to purchase a turkey permit are critical to manage the resource. Both are strongly supported by turkey hunters as indicated by agency surveys, the recent Wild Turkey Summit discussions, and letters sent to the Commission from the Mississippi chapter of the National Wild Turkey Federation, Mississippi River Landowner Alliance, and individual hunters. I strongly believe implementing tagging and requiring a turkey permit are necessary to assist the agency in more effectively managing the resource. Supplemental feeding of grain during turkey season and confusion with baiting regulations are providing opportunities for hunters to illegally harvest turkeys. In the written comments I will leave with the Commission, I share a picture of a gobbler strutting at a deer feeder that was taken last week in North Mississippi. The trail camera picture certainly demonstrates the potential problem. I strongly encourage the Commission and the agency to consider addressing all four of these issues. Additionally, today the Commission is considering staff recommendations to change the spring season opening date to the Saturday closest to March 20th and to close fall turkey season. Both will have very minor impacts, if any, on managing the resource, but will be significant changes to hunter opportunity and hunting quality. Regarding spring season opening date, the staff's justification for change is to improve turkey hunting quality and to better align the youth season with spring break. I offer the following points for considering the question of whether opening the season later will actually improve turkey hunting quality. Agency surveys indicate hunter quality increases when hunters hear and see more turkeys, but this finding does not consider losing days of hunting opportunity. There is no hunting quality on days that are removed from the open season. In an earlier survey, when the question included opportunity to hunt as a consideration, along with hearing, seeing, and harvesting turkeys, hunters overwhelmingly responded to the opportunity to hunt was the most important factor in determining hunting quality. Hunter preference on an opening day varies widely. For example, the recent Mississippi chapter of the National Wild Turkey Federation board member vote was far from unanimous on this recommendation. The state of Mississippi is over 300 miles long. Due to differences in timing of spring green up and turkey behavior in North versus South Mississippi, a later opening has much different impacts on turkeys depending on where they hunt. Recent research by MDWFP and MSU demonstrates there is not a biological reason to open the season later. Mississippi is the only state with a no-jake rule. This regulation specifically restricts harvest opportunity by protecting an entire age class of gobblers every year. With jakes protected, Mississippi can have a longer season than other states. Regarding alignment of spring break, the best opportunities for adults to take youth turkey hunting is on weekends, both during spring break and throughout the regular season. Shifting the season opener may better align spring break for some schools, but depending on the calendar, all youths will lose up to 8 days of hunting opportunity, including a full or partial weekend in some years. The reality is that opening the season on Saturday closest to March 20th will reduce hunting opportunities for youth. I already submitted comments to the Commission regarding fall turkey hunting that supported making the season gobblers only and offered alternative perspectives to the Wildlife Bureau's justification for closing or suspending seasons. If there is no biological reason against having the fall gobblers only season, the opportunity should be provided for hunters who desire to fall turkey hunt. Thank you for the opportunity to address the Commission. In my opinion, other states have mistakenly reduced turkey hunting opportunities by making significant changes to turkey regulations based on unproven theories on turkey breeding behavior and emotion related to decreases in turkey numbers. I hope the Commission will continue to consider research and biological data in making their decisions. In summary, I respectfully request the Commission to strongly consider the following: implementing a mandatory physical tagging system, working with the legislature to require resident hunters to purchase a turkey permit, addressing supplemental feeding of grain during spring turkey season, increasing the agency's efforts on habitat management for wild turkeys, maintaining current spring turkey hunting opportunities unless there is a biological reason to shorten the season, maintaining a fall gobblers-only hunting season unless there is a biological reason to justify closing the season. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Anybody?
Ron, question. So the fall season, what we'll consider today will be, if we vote on anything, it'll be out for public comment. Nothing will be final if we do anything today. But on the fall season, I think what he's proposing is suspending it to study or look at it for a year or so. But if we're to go to a gobbler only, right now it's limited to certain counties. Would you recommend it be for all counties in the whole state?
I think it depends on how the season gets implemented, but I think that if you go with a gobbler only and it's a limited season with appropriate restrictions like are currently set up for the areas that it's open to, I don't see any reason why that opportunity from a biological standpoint could not be provided to anybody in the state that wanted to hunt. Now, there's some folks that won't do it, but so be it, right? I mean, it's a choice, and they should have the opportunity.
Right, it's a hunter opportunity question. Another question, and you in your mind, it would be, if you had a 3-bird limit, if you shot a gobbler in the fall, that would count towards your season limit?
I think that that's an option that certainly should be considered, and from a fall turkey hunting standpoint, I'd rather have that option than losing the opportunity totally, right? That gives me as a hunter a choice to hunt during the fall season and during the spring season. And everybody's got the same bag limit if you do it an annual bag limit. So I think that's a fair way to maintain some hunter opportunity for a small user group that wants to turkey hunt during that time period.
Okay, go ahead.
Why would you even take a fall turkey season away? I must be missing the point. And I apologize to Adam. I was on a plane when I think you did but do we know the purpose of taking a spring season away? I mean, a fall season away, not spring yet.
Our primary justification is because Dr. Warren's model in Mississippi State suggested that a 2% increase in survival would be sufficient to alter the population trajectory of turkeys. The current fall season is the intersect season where any are allowed to be taken. And because of that, and because of the concerns of turkey population and her results, which have also been corroborated by recent research at Oklahoma State, we feel like it is indefensible to allow in harvest at a time when so many hunters are concerned with the population.
Well, why don't we just take the hens out of the equation? That's what that's a consideration.
Well, that's what he's proposing gobbler only.
Yeah.
That's what Ron's saying.
Yeah.
So that,
Yes, sir. And so be clear, I'm not proposing
Yeah.
suspending the season
No.
at all.
You're saying keep the season, do gobblers only.
That's correct. And I shared comments with the commission that, that was a little bit more in detail. I didn't go into them today just because I'd already shared them with y'all. I mean, I've got some of those major points written down. If y'all want me to cover them, I certainly will. But in respect of time, I did not do that because I already submitted them to the commission. But
Ron, did we get those in you might have sent them to me and I apologize.
so
They were a few weeks ago.
they were sent to Ms. Sharon, for distribution.
Can we get a
prior to the commission?
I know I probably
And
got
so,
them. Can I get some more?
Commissioner Bentz, I have my written comments, including what I said today, the points that I left out, and my comments that I submitted to commission in a packet, and along with the picture of the trail camera, and I'll leave that with y'all today. And then I will also resubmit that whole packet to Ms. Sharon.
Well, I agree with most of your comments. The one that we probably are never going to agree on is the physical turkey tag, because, I'm an avid turkey hunter and I don't kill 3 birds a year. And my biggest fear is we're, once again, gonna create a rule that's gonna take the private landowner and tell them what they have to do. There's no better game manager than a private landowner on his own property, I would think. So what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna forget my turkey tags at my deer camp, and I'm gonna come out of the woods, and I'm not gonna have my tag on my turkey like I'm supposed to, and I'm gonna get a ticket, or, you know, that's the only thing that I disagree with you on, and, you know, that's just.
Yes, sir.
And we talked to Adam about that, it may be an option for digital tagging from in-state people as well, but, there's one more question. So you would concur with Adam, I guess, in that not really agreeing with like Mike Chamberlain's research that early harvest of gobblers, he doesn't have, according to Adam, he doesn't really have scientific research to back that up. That early harvest of the boss gobbler affects the breeding season. You're a biologist too, so, right?
Yes, sir. I have never agreed with that concept. And when that first came out, I tried to point out to people that there's all kinds of red flags in research and hard data that refutes that theory. Since that time, there's been additional research in multiple states, including some of the stuff in Mississippi, that refutes that theory. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't even follow the breeding biology of the wild turkey and what we know about that. And so I think that, like I said, I think these other states are mistakenly taking away hunter opportunity and making some serious changes, and I think they're going to regret it. I think it's just a matter of time, and I do commend the agency, both the technical staff and the commission, on not jumping and making changes like these other states. Tennessee recently just changed their turkey season to open it on April 15th. Their staff did not recommend that. The commissioners made the change for whatever those reasons were, their public input, all the above. I understand the process, but I think that they took away a tremendous amount of opportunity for unproven theories from something that's getting promoted through social media that's gotten way out of hand. And I think it's wrong.
Yeah. So we met with Tennessee commissioners, Alabama commissioner, Georgia, Arkansas commissioners. Arkansas is April 17th, Tennessee April 15th, Alabama's back to March 27th, whatever it is this year. They lowered their limits. So, point being is the other politics of it is putting pressure on Mississippi because all these people are. I don't know if we do something, a stamp or physical tagging, whatever we do, can really measure the turkey hunters here better and real harvest reporting, then we'll know how many we have. We don't really know how many we have at this point, but no doubt there's a lot more turkey hunters than there used to be, a lot more pressure. So that plays into all this. There's biology, there's pressure, habitat, maybe the biggest thing, trapping, lack of trapping, predators, all the stuff we know.
I think the predators are something
everything.
that we need to address a lot more than what we are. To me, the predators,
No doubt.
they mess the whole deal up. Get rid of the predators. I think we'll have some. I know on my place, I've had the best turkey hatch in the last 2 years, and I trapped a lot of coyotes and coons, and I think that's a direct result. And I didn't cut my hay until after July. I didn't cut up a bunch of turkey nests.
Yeah, I think the data statewide showing that certainly the hatch this past year was an outstanding hatch on a statewide basis, and so there's certainly some predator
Commissioner Mullins
relationships.
is a good root. He just killed a big turkey this morning. I mean, it knocked him out. He said he could have killed two, but he's a law-abiding citizen and he only killed one. We appreciate you coming to us, and we certainly
I
understand.
thank you for the opportunity.
All right. so thank you.
He missed one yesterday.
Less than 8 yards.
Well, here's a part of the commission meeting we always enjoy. There's license sales, because that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps this boat floating. Jason.
Yes, sir, Chairman,
Commissioners. Our report for the month of March shows that our revenue is up 5% compared to last year, and currently we are up right near $1 million compared to fiscal year 22.
Unbelievable.
Looking at the resident section, resident license sales are up $56,000. WMA permits have increased by 3%. The senior exempt licenses are up 9% compared to last year. And the small game freshwater fishing license numbers are similar to what they were last year, $398,000 compared to $396,000 last year. Non-resident sales are up $996,000. Annual small game license and the 7-day license are both up 7%. WMA permits up 3%, and the revenue from non-resident freshwater fishing license are up 17%. Our permit category up close to 5%, and lifetime licenses are down 5% compared to last year. Overall, we have generated a total of $18,205,481 hunt fish license sales so far. All right, auto renewals, we've had a total of 23,483 to be set up this fiscal year, and license packages, 29,000 sold compared to 26,000 last year. Any questions?
Jason, no, it was great. The total sales are up. Doesn't really show, is the quantity of numbers of licenses, is that up? Is the revenue increase because of some higher fees or because of
The revenue has increased because of higher fees. The quantity has also increased because we added at the beginning of the fiscal year the Velvet Deer permit for residents. So there's a greater quantity also
Two reasons.
because of that addition.
okay, then I understand there's an RFP process going on for the licensing and apps and things like that, right? So,
Yes, sir. Probably the next commission meeting or 2 commission meetings from now, I'll have some more information on that. So we're working towards new system.
and if we're to use the same vendor, or new vendor, whatever, if you change anything, it will be next year before it will be implemented, probably, right?
That's correct. Looking at possibly July 1st.
Of
Next year.
24.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any questions for Jason? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Always been good for years. Russ, you up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just give you a quick order for us. We are going to do migratory bird frameworks, and then whitetail deer, and then turkey season, and then WMA rigs. I'm going to yield my time to Houston right now.
All right. Houston Havens.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. We have for you, I believe, on page 2 of your packet, migratory game bird hunting season recommendation from the staff. And I'll just kind of briefly move through these. Or any questions, we can cover those. One of the, I guess, biggest changes from previous year's recommendation is with our north zone of the dove season. We had significant public comment throughout the year asking to move some of those third season days back into the second season. So as you may remember, we have the ability to do 3 season segments with our dove season in each zone. And so those changes are reflected here. Both zones would open with the typical statewide opener of the Saturday before Labor Day being September 2nd this year. So in the North Zone, we would be September 2nd through October 15th, then pick back up October 28th through November 26th, and the third season being December 30th to January 14th. Then in the South Zone, again, with that same opener of September 2nd and go through September 24th. Second season in the South Zone will be October 7th through November 5th, and the final split would be December 23rd to January 28th.
Where's the south and north zone? Highway 82 or? is it-
Highway 84, right, the south zone, or excuse me, the north zone is majority of the state. Portion of the state north and west of a line extending from the Alabama state line along US Highway 84, right, over to Highway 35. Right. So the early season for Canada geese would be the typical maximum that's allowed September 1st through September 30th. The September teal season, which is a maximum of 16 days. So we don't have any split ability with the teal season, so we just try to take that, put it as late in the month as we can while also overlapping the maximum number of weekends. So that's why that season moves around a little bit. That would be September 9th through September 24th. For the next group of birds, we've got rails and gallinules all together with that season recommendation of September 1st through October 1st, and then November 23rd through December 31st. The snipe season would be status quo of putting the season as late as possible and using the maximum number of days, and that would be November 14th through February 28th. For woodcock, again, using our maximum number of days, putting them as late as allowed by federal frameworks, that would be December 18th through January 31st. And then with the duck season, we've stuck with our typical framework there of putting most of our days as late as allowed, ending on January 31st, and then backing up and maximizing our weekends with the splits there. So that would be the first season would be November 24th through the 26th.
That's Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. Day after Thanksgiving through that Sunday. Next would be the following Friday through Sunday of December 1st through the 3rd. And then we would run the remainder of the season December 9th through January 31st.
Just a random question. Why in Canada do they allow limited 8 mallards and stuff like that?
It's just based on bird numbers and then the significantly fewer number of hunters that are there. More U.S. hunters are going there and hunting and harvesting more birds than there are for residents in those Canadian provinces. It's just a hunter numbers.
Same with Pacific Flyway.
That's right.
Same thing.
Right. There, Pacific Flyway, it's a little bit different because they're managing a different population of birds in general, but also just again hunter numbers. Mississippi and Central Flyways have the majority of hunters and harvest majority of ducks too.
So the change to get it even beyond January 31st, we're involved in getting it to that later date. It would take the U.S. Fish and Wildlife or an act of Congress, right?
It would literally take an act of Congress at this point. Back in 2019, Congress did amend the Migratory Bird Treaty Act to allow January 31st as being the last day instead of the last Sunday in January.
And the concern about being later because of pair bonding, pairs rather than.
Right. So biologically, paired birds. You've also got birds that would basically be hunted a second time as they're passing back through states, headed back on spring migration. There's also the issue of a state like Mississippi, particularly the Mississippi Delta. Agriculture provides a significant amount of the waterfowl habitat that we have. And those farmers they're itching to get that water off by late January as it is right now, and asking to extend that further into the season, into the winter would potentially be an issue as well.
We get questions about that.
Right, we do too. And, it's this past year was a really good year to kind of help us answer some of those questions, seeing what a really cold snap can do during the duck season and not after the duck season. So we did get that around Christmas time. We saw results that we would expect from a weather event like that, so that was a good thing. Okay, the next item is the Youth Veteran and Active Military Waterfowl Days, which we selected the weekend following the regular duck season, which would be February 3rd and 4th. And what we call our regular season for geese, which lumps in Canada's, Snows, Blues, Rosses, White-fronted, and Brants, would all start November 10th, go through the 26th, and then they would align with the duck season for the remainder of the season, being December 1st through the 3rd and December 9th through January 31st. And also in your In your packets there, we have just basically the graphical representation of how these seasons overlap with each other and line up on the calendar. That should start on page 34 if you have any questions about how those line up.
Do you need a motion, Mr. Chairman? We did.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, sir.
Got you, Houston.
Good job. Lee.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How do you do?
I'm fine, glad to see
Commission,
you, sir.
going to present to you our deer season changes for the year. They are minimal. Velvet season scheduled for September 15th through 17th. It was a success last year. And with the last number I saw, 629 bucks harvested during that season. So we expect it to be a success this year as well.
The velvet season?
Yes, sir, velvet season.
Now, of course, that don't include the outlaws. They don't, you know,
It
they
does
don't
not.
report.
But we got people for that.
Yeah,
So
I understand. But you had how many in the velvet?
629 reported.
Thanks to Mr. Munger. He's the one who got that.
So the dates for that, I'll refer you to page 9 in your book. I'll also refer you to page 33 in your book. One of the changes we will make is we have several deer management units across the state. We will be combining the Northeast, East Central, and Southwest. It's more of a nomenclature change. There are no regulations, difference in regulations, nor have there ever been difference in regulations in these particular deer management units. So we're combining them for simplicity's sake. I would like to point out that this year, all the season structure stays the same as it has in the past few years. Archery season will open on September 30th due to October 1, falling on a Sunday and statute requiring that to back up a day. So that's all.
Wait, do you
Yes, sir.
remember, our fee structure? Don't we have an out-of-state fee and an in-state fee for the velvet?
Yes, sir.
Was it, I can't remember what we did.
I'm trying to remember
10,
the cost
50?
of that. I think 10 and 50. 50 for the deer permit, yes, for
What
non-residents.
about
10
in-state?
for residents.
Yeah, so 10 and 50. You know, I had some conversations with the legislators after we did that, and they specifically said that, you know, they were giving us an opportunity to raise funding to our out-of-state hunters that want to come to the state, because I think we're one of just a few states that maybe. So I don't know if that's something that we can maybe entertain in the future, looking at the fees for the out-of-state hunters, Mr. Chairman, and give us an opportunity to maybe raise some, because do we match those, Kevin, Rob, for those funds? Matt? Yeah. So anyway, just another opportunity to maybe think about that.
We'll certainly consider that. And if I remember right, Russ correctly, but we did raise this during this from 5 to 50. Was that correct? Yes, so this was an increase from 5 to 50 for the deer permit for non-residents. So it reflected a $5 to $50 increase.
And part of it,
Yeah, that
Wait a minute.
part of the,
fair enough.
part of the, I know what you looked at also, the total fee an out-of-stater would pay normally, but I agree with Leonard. I've had legislators, they've expressed to me the same thing. And so legislators see this as a unique opportunity and allows, usually legislators don't want more fees, you know. But this case, this is something special, and especially out of the state, not in-staters, but out-of-staters.
Yeah, out-of-state.
Because we go to Kentucky and do it, we're gonna pay
That's right.
several $100s, I think, because out-of-state license.
Anyway.
Yeah, if y'all could look at it, maybe something we'd wanna take on, look at it, yeah.
We will.
All right, do we need a
Motion?
motion been made? Second.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion? Say aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. William McKinley. Welcome, Adam.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the opportunity to address you guys, and I appreciate the opportunity I had in February to give the full justification for our suggestions in the education session. That has been up on the YouTube page and has been viewed nearly 1,000 times the last time I checked. So, as you know, we're recommending a package of turkey changes for the 2024 season moving forward. Now, as a matter of procedure, and I guess this is your choice here, we can address those all as one, or they're actually in 3 different rules that would be amended.
I think probably because of the controversy, let's do them one at a time.
Okay, one at a time. All right, so you'll see the proposed rule changes are summarized on, should be page 10 of your packet. That will go through the spring season change, fall season change, tagging, harvest reporting, and then an alteration to the non-resident public land license endorsement. So, the first of those would be Rule 3.1. Our recommendation is to alter the spring turkey season so that it will open the Saturday closest to March 20th and run through May the 1st, which is a reversion to the framework that was in place from 1980 until 2004. And you see under that, the non-resident public land draw period, which is also listed under 3.4, would be amended to reflect that new opening date and would also run through March 31st to standardize the back end of that non-resident public land endorsement period as a hard closure. We're adding in language after discussions internally that clarify that non-residents can bring a non-human guest along, because there has been confusion about that. So that addition at number 1, letter C, would clarify that. You see under big letter C there, that the youth turkey season, because of the recommended amendment to the opening day of the regular season, the youth season would likewise be amended to open the Saturday prior to the regular spring season opener and run through the Friday before. So this youth season stays 1 week and it's going from a Saturday to a Friday. Under letter D, you see the language for the fall season being struck away, as we're recommending suspending that opportunity. And that would be all for 3.1.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion that we adopt?
So it will-
3.1.
So it's all one deal?
Just 3.1.
Just only 3.1.
So 3.1 covers season frameworks and backlinks. The tagging component is in a separate rule.
Okay. Yeah. So I would, fall season question.
I don't know how the chairman wants to handle that, but I would make a motion to, or amend, I don't know how you do it within the rule, take the fall turkey season out of the rule, continue the fall turkey season, but put a gobbler restriction only in that process.
Is that somewhere else in here other than,
No, sir. Our recommendation is to suspend the fall season as it currently stands.
Eliminate it.
Yes, sir.
eliminated altogether?
Yes, sir. Regarding the gobblers only opportunity, we are willing to take a look at that. I would say that public sentiment on fall turkey hunting has always been overwhelmingly opposed to it. Polling in the past has showed that turkey hunters in Mississippi are about 3-to-1 against having a fall season. The Mississippi State chapter of NWTF has been on record 3 different times being opposed to the fall season. But if it is the prerogative of the commission, we are willing to investigate whether, public sentiment on that has changed. The gobbler only opportunity, while it does have a different biological consequence from hen harvest, would be in direct conflict with a current law we have on the books that prohibits the harvest of jakes. So in spring season, we don't allow jakes to be taken. The sole reason for that rule's existence is so that those birds will survive to be 2-year-old gobblers the following spring. If you then take them in October and November, it is, in direct opposition to the goal of the no jake law.
I'm not advocating killing jakes in the fall either. I didn't know what you could kill in the fall, to be honest with you.
Right.
But can you kill jakes in the fall now?
Correct.
Okay, well, I would take jakes out
I'd
of
say
it.
longbeards on.
Longbeard.
Well, and it'd be semantics on whether they're jakes at that point or not, because they would all have greater than 6-inch beards by that point of the year anyway. Most of them would. But again, we're willing to take a look at that if that's what the commission would like, but at this time, we're recommending suspending the fall season.
So question, Lynn, if three, where, would it be appropriate to do amend this?
I think the commission has the authority to amend or reject or
So
adopt.
to put out for public comment, basically put up the gobbler, a gobbler.
That's all you're
on
doing
there.
anyway, is putting it out for public comment. I don't know you could get that. I mean, whatever you put out will be commented on.
But
Point
y'all-
of order, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
This is a proposed rule, and the commission can either take it as proposed, or if you want to suggest an amendment, I believe Mr. Vince was trying to make a motion to approve Rule 3.1, however, amended to reinstate fall turkey gobbler only.
Well, that's kind of close, but
I'm as close as I can get to
that's
it.
right. I'm gonna be against the rule. I'm thinking it's probably gonna pass. I'm trying to get some language in there that's gonna help, you know, so.
Well, Leonard, let me ask you this question. Are you for a fall turkey season mature gobbler jay gobbler? Okay.
Give them an opportunity.
Because I kind of feel like that
I've never
as
fall
well.
hunted in my life, but I might start if we.
Yeah,
And I'm an avid turkey hunter.
well, there's people that do that.
All right, well, based,
I'm not an avid turkey killer, I'm an avid turkey hunter.
right, based on that, Doug, how do we do this?
Well,
I mean, will he make a
I
motion?
say motion,
If you second it,
Okay,
or according to Drew, we can just pass the rule and we can make the change
Well,
after.
you can
the
go ahead and make
public
a
comment.
motion now,
Make a motion
to give the staff direction on, you know, what you're looking at. It's still a proposed rule.
Yeah.
And it would just be a factor of what wording you want.
this is not a final.
No, it's not final, it's all proposed.
And
But I think that would give direction to the staff on what you want them to look toward, depending upon how your motion is worded.
all right, let's move along. Let's,
somebody needs to second it.
it did,
Well, I mean, do we know what, he said it was close to what the motion was.
Well, this is what my proposed motion would be, if the chairman will accept it, this is what it is.
okay.
To, take out the suspension of the fall turkey hunting season, but create it where you can kill adult gobblers only during that fall hunt. And I don't know how, that's,
No, I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
that's actually legit. That'll work.
No obvious jakes, but.
And so, to be clear, is that so currently this is not a statewide opportunity, it's only in specific zones,
Yeah.
so we're gonna retain the current zones or make it statewide?
I think probably should have just said, the only thing we need to change is not to kill hens and jakes during the fall turkey season, and keep everything else the same.
There are only certain counties that you
I
can do
know.
it now, you can apply for it.
One of my county's one of them.
Yeah.
Hey, let me, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
these proposals that we're setting forth here is coming from the staff, and I assume for a reason. And my understanding is we don't make a decision as the commission until we hear what the people and the hunters of Mississippi have to
Right, this
say.
is not
That'd be
final.
the 30
This puts
days.
out
It's a
for-
proposal.
For
Yeah.
30 days.
Right.
So if they were inclined to everybody, all the hunters of Mississippi wanted to keep the fall season, wouldn't we leave that to them rather than us
That's what we
individually?
do, we put out public comment, we see, and then
Right.
we can either modify it, whichever way we vote, it can be changed
Right.
later.
I agree, but I don't want to assume the staff didn't know what they was talking about. Was there not a purpose for doing away with the turkey fall hunting season or suspending it for?
I think participation was something that I remember you tell me just.
Correct, so As I spoke at the February meeting, there's multiple points in our decision process here. The most obvious, as I addressed a minute ago, was that the population modeling work that Dr. Moore has done for us has shown how sensitive those populations are to hen survival.
Right.
Secondarily.
So we fixed that by leaving the hen in place, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Secondarily, because this season is in zones but not statewide, we have data that suggests it is being abused in the rest of the state because people are apparently only seeing the dates in the Outdoor Digest without reading the fine print about where the season is and the proper process by which they should go through. And so we have good data that shows that there are a lot more people killing turkeys in the fall outside of those zones than are going through the normal proper channels. So our position is that having zones which are essentially unjustifiable biologically or sociologically is causing confusion that is resulting in illegal harvest. As an example of that, so just this past year, we issued fall tags through the normal legal process to 120 properties. We issued a total of 206 fall tags to 120 properties. Non-residents have to buy a fall turkey permit. So they have to apply for a fall tag and they have to also buy a permit. We issued to 120 properties, but we actually sold 1,606 of those fall turkey licenses. So there's clear evidence that the fact that this season is in zones is causing an issue in and of itself beyond just whether we're going to hunt turkeys in the fall or not. So the zones are an issue beyond everything. And then finally, like I said, the gobbler only option, while it has different biological consequences, it does run counter to an existing rule that prohibits the harvest of jakes in the spring, which is overwhelmingly popular. We got opinion data that shows about 90% of Mississippians at the time that rule was implemented were in favor of prohibiting jakes. And so they're doing that, they're in favor of that solely because they want to see that jake become a 2-year-old gobbler the following spring. So allowing that jake to be harvested in October and November by someone who may be targeting that bird just incidentally while they're deer archery hunting pretty much undermines the purpose of having the no jake law to begin with.
So,
I didn't know all.
Would you be okay with, we said it would be count towards your 3-bird limit if you did it in the fall for that season?
It didn't prior.
Does it count towards your limit?
Yeah, right now it's totally separate.
So I'd say it counts towards that season limit. And this if you modify it to say that, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
And then, jakes only, or no jakes.
Yeah.
If you identify.
Where are we?
Look, we got 30 days to work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And then I'd say I'd say maybe put out for public comment to do it statewide, not have zoning.
I'm not even sure what the motion is now.
Whoa, I don't know about that, Billy.
Just put it.
All right, so, Mr. Chairman, we got
I think we
a
need to
motion
table
of some
rules number.
sort, but I'm not sure what the motion is.
I think we'll put it out for comment.
I think I make a motion, we go as is, what he wants, and then we can put out the comment.
Okay, so we got to, well, first we got to deal with.
I don't think I have a second, but I think, Coopwood's making a motion out there for something.
What is your motion?
Well, Nat, I've heard all that. My motion is kind of, let's go what he wants, Adam wants to do here, and let's see what the public says. What would be what I want to do, but
That makes sense to me.
I'll second that.
I don't mind seconding this motion, we may not vote for it. But,
Well, he got a second on his motion. I just heard that.
Leonard does, or Cooper.
No.
No,
Coopwood does. Commissioner Bent's motion did not get a second, so it failed for lack of a second.
He didn't get a second, so Coopwood made it that we accept what they recommend and put it out for the 30-day comment section, and then we can adjust it at the next meeting, whatever comes in.
So there's a
that's
motion
that's a
and a
motion
second. We
and
need
a
to vote.
second.
Yes.
All right, and I'm gonna all in favor, raise your hand.
All these 3 rows.
No, it's just
on Coopwood.
3-1.
All in favor of Coopwood's amendment. voted 4 to, all opposed. Okay, by a vote of 4-1, it carries. Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the next part of the overall recommendation package would be Rule 3.4. So 3.4 was the rule that set up the harvest reporting system that's already in place. The amendment to Rule 3.4 would add the tagging requirement to that. So you see that under letter B there, it would add in that all hunters, regardless of license exemption status, are required to acquire and carry valid turkey harvest tags. And then those tags, under number 1, before moving the turkey from the point of harvest, hunters would have to invalidate the turkey tag by notching, punching, cutting, or otherwise physically altering the tag to denote the date of harvest in the appropriate fields. And then they would have to, before moving from the point of harvest, physically attach the tag to the bird's leg. And then those tags would have to remain with the bird until processed. So essentially that establishes the physical tagging system to complement harvest reporting.
Is processed when I bring it to my tailgate and cut the breast out and put it in my cooler? When does process become processed?
I would defer to the legal interpretation of that, but I think that's generally the idea that you're keeping it with the bird till you clean the bird.
Texas for residents, they have physical tags, but also for residents, they have some sort of option, digital option like we have.
Correct.
Would that be possible in the future?
It would be, and as Jason mentioned earlier, we are in the process right now of evaluating the new license system. So from a technical standpoint, this is a difficult time to implement this because we're still in the process of getting all that in place. But this would give the legal authority to establish that program. Our goal is to, for at least 2024, make it a physical tag only. In discussions with law enforcement, that's what they would desire to see. And then as we move forward into a new licensing system, evaluate those other options as they become available.
Do we know how many turkey hunters we have in the state of Mississippi?
No.
We have an estimate. So our estimate is about 60,000 turkey hunters, which is up considerably over the past decade.
Where do we get that estimate from?
After the hunting season is over for all game species, we contract with a third party who pulls a random sample of license holders. So they look at our whole license database, they randomly select a few thousand of those. They interview those people, ask them, did they go deer hunting? Did they go squirrel hunting? Did they go turkey hunting? How many turkeys did they kill? Those sort of things. And then they use just defensible statistical methods to extrapolate that out to everybody who has a license. So and I guess I should clarify on that. So we know we estimate we have about 60,000 licensed turkey hunters, but we have no idea how many exempt hunters there would be in addition to that. So if somebody does not have to buy a license for whatever exemption status, they're not getting captured in that survey.
So if you have a lifetime license, you still have to get tags, correct?
Correct. That's the way this wording would be.
And then your staff, the staff would be favorable for like a turkey stamp, kind of like a duck stamp, right? I know that has to be done legislatively, the way I understand it, but y'all would be in support of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And yeah.
Well, to me, that would give you a number of how many turkey hunters you got.
And that's one of the,
That's simple enough. You got.
Do we think
like a-
people are killing too many birds, illegally killing too many birds?
I'll defer to law enforcement on that, but I certainly think that is.
Are they talking about numbers?
Case that they made a couple of years ago, you had 2 or 3 individuals killed over 30-some turkeys, just not this state all the way up to the north. You aware of that?
I'm aware of it, but Scotty, were those tags that kept them doing what they did?
It helped with compliance, it helped us.
I-
another tool.
Tagging ain't gonna help outlaws, cause they ain't gonna tag. I mean, they just ain't gonna do it.
What it would do is tell you how many law-abiding people are getting tags. So that should give you a number of turkey hunters right there.
It would, yes.
So I've got to apply for a tag.
Well, it would, the way this would be, it would be a license privilege within our system.
So
You would get one straight
when I go buy my sportsman's license every year, you're gonna say, do you want turkey tags?
Correct.
And if I don't want them, I don't get them. If I do want, are we gonna charge for them?
Under the statute that gives the commission authority to establish a tagging program, we have the authority to charge for the processing fee essentially. We can't, for the cost of the tag, the cost of the processing and shipping of the tag to the user, we can cover that cost legally.
But we can't charge them for a tag.
Mr. Chairman, I'm prolonging, I'm against it, so I don't want
Okay,
to prolong the process anymore.
all right,
But if we did a stamp, the legislature supported a stamp, we could have where a stamp went for research, habitat, maybe trapping, education or assistance or whatever. So that'd be something for the legislature, and you could charge for that. Yeah, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, that.
Depending
The
on.
legislature passed it.
Correct.
Statute, yeah, would set that out.
all right, are you ready to vote on rule 3.4?
Has anybody made a motion? Second?
I'm gonna hear if there's somebody make a motion that we adopt rule
I'll
3.4.
make a motion we adopt.
I had a motion. Is there a second? All right, I heard a second. Okay. If you're in favor of rule 3.4, raise your hand. 4 to all in opposed. All right, 4-1. All right, next one, Adam.
All right, finally, of all of this turkey package here, the last amendment would be in Rule 8.4, and this is basically just a formality given the vote on 3.1, but 8.4 is non-resident hunting and fishing license and fee program, and as you'll remember, 2 years ago, we voted to require a license endorsement for non-residents who are going to be hunting public land during the early part of our season. Given that 3.1 amended the start date of the spring turkey season, the language in 8.4 has to be amended to reflect that. So basically, the change would just be, as you see underlined there on page 14, the non-resident public lands turkey permit endorsement would be required from the opening day of spring turkey season until the last day of March. So that standardizes it with the new opener, and it backs it up to the final day of March.
All right, is there a motion?
So,
Motion is made in a second. Motion been made in a second. All in favor of rule 8.4, say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, non-controversial Adam. All right, what else you got, Russ?
All right. We'll go to wildlife management areas. Hopefully this will be quick and painless. I'll direct your attention back to page 5, if you will. That'll be the summary for the WMA changes. We'll kind of hit the highlights there and try to address any questions you may have. But if you'll turn to page 5, it'll be the summary document there. I'm going to start at the top there. It's our basic regulations. So these are regs for all WMAs. Just a few changes there. The first being, there's been some language added and amended for the past couple of years about air rifles and air guns. So in the past, there's been no language that's specific to air rifles for small game. So we do want to add that in there, that air rifles no larger than 22 are allowed for small game hunting. So if a kid wanted to take, an air 22 or a pellet rifle, they can do that, provide that opportunity. Also, as Adam mentioned about bringing non-hunting guests, we have a lot of questions about if you are drawn for a hunt or if you can bring a guest with you. So we want to clarify that language that all drawn hunters can bring one non-hunting guest with them. Somebody wants to come video with them, what have you, then that is allowed on any draw hunts that we have. And then the last thing there for the basic regulations. So last year you all approved, we every year we have waterfowl draw procedures for some of our waterfowl draw hunts. And those are hard to add into the regulations specifically. So we added the language in there that all posted waterfowl draw hunt procedures you must be followed will be enforced. We wanted to amend that this year to all draw hunt procedures, not specific to waterfowl, but anything related to draw hunt procedures would be enforced there. All right, I'm going to skip on down to WMA Edition, the third bullet down there you see. We do want to actually open, I don't want to say a new WMA, if you will, but we do have some land around Calling Panther Lake in Copiah County. There's about 1,000 acres there around that lake that we've worked with fisheries and talked with our staff about opening opportunity around that state lake for hunting opportunities. So we would effectively call it Calling Panther WMA. So we would, our proposal there is permitted archery hunts from October through January, but just because of the size of the land and obviously the state lake, no gun hunting, it would be all archery hunting there. As well as during the month of February, we are proposing to have small game, squirrel hunting opportunity in the month of February with shotguns only, no 22s there, with shotguns only, given again the lake issue. And then we want to propose permitted youth turkey hunts there for every weekend during the month of April. There we want to have, and the end of March, have youth turkey hunting opportunity there. So provide another WMA opportunity, an additional hunting opportunity, kind of the southwest part of the state there. We think it'd be a good thing. All right, skip on down to deer regs. A couple of things there. You see there we do have 2 WMAs. We want to increase the opportunity for antlerless deer. One of those being Copiah County, one of those being Divide section, and both of those are increasing the gun opportunity for deer there. We're seeing some of our antlerless deer harvest decline there. We think that's partially because of, again, the lack or reduction in the opportunity for gun hunting. So we're proposing increasing gun opportunity there to bump those numbers up on antlerless harvest. Marion County WMA, you see on the bullet below there, we added about 440 acres to Marion County WMA over the last 2 years. And we're effectively going to call that the Dillon Creek unit. And that's going to be archery and youth gun opportunity there, not draw hunt. It'll still be open like the rest of the WMA, but it will be archery only, and then youth gun opportunity on that unit there. And you can also see that we're adding language that there can be no hunting within 100 feet of the pipeline rights of way on that property. The main access through that property is actually on those gas pipelines, and so we didn't want anyone hunting directly on those because that's going to be the main travel corridors on that unit there. So last year, you all asked for us to build in some senior adult hunting opportunities, and we did that on Mahanna and Phil Bryant. So we want to increase that this year. You see there on those WMAs, Hill Creek, Pascagoula, and Trim Cane WMAs. We're proposing adding in senior adult draw hunts there. So that would give us 5 WMAs across the state that would have senior adult opportunity. All right, page 6, if you'll turn on over. Again, some of this is just clarification of language, just minor changes there. I'm going to go on down to, on the turkey regs, you see we would amend our turkey season dates and all of our WMAs to reflect the statewide changes that were just proposed and passed. So all of those dates would be shifted as needed. I'm going to go on down to migratory birds. There's one thing that is not on your summary there that was just an oversight on our part. We skipped it unintentionally. So Black Prairie, we have a dedicated dove field at Black Prairie. It's always a big youth dove hunt, but after that youth dove hunt, there's always a lot of folks come hunt that field. We're proposing that we put a limit on that field of 75 people. We have this like at Divinity and other WMAs. It gets a lot of pressure and there's a lot of people. It can be a safety hazard. So we're proposing putting a limit of 75 hunters at one time on that dove field at Black Prairie. Again, that was not on your summary. I apologize for that. I add that there. So again, Black Prairie WMA, a limit of 75 on the dove field. All right, top of page 7 there, you'll see under hogs. And so this is a joint proposal and recommendation by us as well as the Corps of Engineers on Canal and Divide section WMAs, as well as John Bell Williams. On those mitigation lands, we're proposing to close the the hog hunting season during February with dogs. Outside of our WMAs, any open core lands, there is no hog hunting with dogs on those lands. And we are having significant issues with hogs, and our primary time to really go after those hogs is during the February season with trapping. And this is a little different situation in that these mitigation lands and the levees there, hogs are a significant issue on these mitigation lands. And so for our staff to really attack these hogs in the February season with trapping, it becomes a conflict there. And so we're proposing, it's again by request of the Corps, for the dog hunting opportunity of February to be closed there on those mitigation lands on Canal and Divide section, and then on John Bell Williams WMAs. All right, down to fishing and boating, you see we want to add some opportunity in on Pascagoula WMA down on primarily on Land Between the Creeks. We have a pond there called Doyle's Pond, Doyle was a staff member who passed away unexpectedly a couple of years ago. There's a pond there named after him. We want to build in some opportunity throughout the summer there for folks to go fishing on that pond, on that WMA, which we think is a good thing. Then you see under Ward Bayou WMA, again, this is in conjunction with the Corps of Engineers and the Fish and Wildlife Service, closing the sandbars that are within the WMA boundaries to recreational opportunities. A lot of people using those sandbars during the summertime, pulling up boats and those kind of things. There's endangered turtle species that are using those sandbars, and with consultation with the Fish and Wildlife Service and the Corps of Engineers, they're asking us to close those sandbars. It's about 7 sandbars that are in the confines of the WMA that they're asking for us to just close off during to recreational opportunities because of the endangered species.
So that means, Russ, let me clear it, because that's in my area down there.
That's right.
If you're going up the Pascagoula River and you get out on one of those sandbars, you're gonna be ticketed?
If the sandbars are closed to recreational opportunity, yes, then
How is the public gonna know that they're closed?
So there'd be signs established on those sandbars that they're closed for recreational opportunities. The boundaries are already marked with being in the WMA, but those specific sandbars, like I say, I'm pretty sure it's 7 sandbars that are again in the confines of Ward Bayou, not all up and down the river, but in the confines of Ward Bayou. We would mark those sandbars as closed to recreational opportunities.
But that's the Corps of Engineers, Sue.
That's right. Well, that's their
And we
request.
maintain
The Ward Bayou is owned by the Corps. This comes at the request of not only the Corps, but also the Fish and Wildlife Service, because the yellow blotch mab turtle is listed as endangered by the Fish and Wildlife Service. So it comes at the request of both entities.
What's gonna happen when we get up to the Pascagoula River Wildlife Management there on those sandbars?
No changes there. This is only for Ward Bayou.
It's the same issue though. If we got turtle issues in Ward Bayou, we're gonna have turtle issues in Pascagoula Wildlife Management area too. It's the same body of water, the same sand. You go around one corner and the next corner, you're Ward Bayou, next corner, you're Pascagoula Wildlife Management area. I know it's not one corner, but you understand what I'm saying. So anyway, it's just gonna be a problem. People are gonna get tickets because they're not gonna realize it. It'll be a problem.
I think you put the right signs up. Outlaws ain't gonna buy it, but the regular people, find out. I'm not an environmentalist, and I ain't worried about the turtles, but a lot of people do.
All right, next one down. And this came at last commission meeting. Some individuals came and asked about electric bicycles. So you will see there under the first bullet item under electric bikes, our proposal here is for electric bikes. All right, so let me back up just a second. So electric bikes have been allowed on our wildlife management areas on designated roads or trails, or for game retrieval, or on some WMAs, depending on where they are, they're already allowed for use. So after last commission meeting, the request by the individuals, here's our proposed changes to what's already in place, that if you're 65 years of age or older, that electric bikes may be ridden on marked foot traffic trails. I think that was one of the requests was on these foot traffic trails, allow electric bike use. So our proposal is 65 years of age and older. They may be ridden on marked foot traffic trails, but not on any levied roads. So in some of our WAs with water fountain impoundments or other areas with levees, they could not be ridden on those levied roads or trails. So again, 65 years of age or older on marked foot traffic trails that are non-levied roads or trails. But that's only going to be applicable to our WMAs. Again, we don't set it for Forest Service or for Corps of Engineers. So this will be on the WMAs that we have purview over.
Levy roads and trails, yeah, appreciate that. Levy, like levies for water control, duck impoundments, whatever, is it pretty obvious? I mean, will people know where those are?
Yes, those are clearly marked or yes.
Well, you can ride an ATV down a couple of those impoundment levies at Mahana.
That's right, and so you can already ride an electric bike on those, yes. This is gonna be, if it's not already open to ATV traffic, it wouldn't be open for this now. So
That makes sense.
It's just to protect the levy.
I think
protect the levees.
I think this answers what the request was.
I think so, we think
I
so.
believe it does.
I just wish you'd work, maybe give it some, check it out next year, and give the older but not as old guys like me the opportunity to ride. There's a lot of people that bought these $5,000, $6,000 bikes out there, and that's
Yeah.
it. But I appreciate y'all's looking into this and doing.
I appreciate your prompt attention to it, so that not to have to wait for something. It's something we need to do.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you what, it's a popular item in electric bikes.
Mr. Chairman, the rest of these, again, there's no significant changes on the rest of these. Some of it's just clarification of language. I'll be glad to answer any other questions. And if not, I'd be glad to entertain a vote for these proposed changes.
Can we do all these at once, Drew?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
1.1 and 1.47.
Okay.
The no off-road vehicles in Mahana, you know, they got the campground right there. Shouldn't it say unattended? Do people pull their
Yes. So that's the intent, unintended. So what we're seeing happen is folks parking a four-wheeler at a gate, leaving it overnight to mark a place. That's the intent. But yeah, if you're in the campground, stay overnight. That's not this intent.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Cookwood has made the motion that we accept these recommendations from staff. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Got you, Russ.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Russ. Moving right along.
We are.
Where are we getting the page turned? Fisheries. Brother Brown. We're gonna get to you.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Jared Brown, glad to see you.
You'll look at tab 6 before I get started on our proposed rules. You'll want to give you an update of some tornado damage that we had at one of our state fishing lakes. This is at Layton Road, between Aberdeen and Amory. The same system that went through at Rolling Fork and other areas kind of lifted, and I think hit be southwest of Amory and came through and hit Lake Monroe. So there's some pictures of the damage. We got a lot of tree damage there in our campground dangerous area. We got damage to our buildings. So we have closed the facility for right now to the public while we try to get everything cleaned up. We're working with MEMA and FEMA and getting bids for contractors to come in and start doing the work. So just want to give you guys an update on that, on what's going on at one of our facilities.
Man, that's some real damage there. These
Yes, sir.
pictures you got.
It's a mess.
But that tornado's the same one that hit Rolling Fork and
I believe it was,
Silver
I believe
City.
it was the same system.
And
I
it
think
jumped,
it lifted
it
and.
lifted for about 50 minutes. It
Yes,
went
sir.
again in around Amory,
Right,
Monroe County.
Yes.
And there's a gentleman earlier talking about it from Smithfield.
right. Fortunately, we did not have any campers or anyone at the facility at that time, so, no injuries at that facility. So we have some proposed changes to 3 rules. Drew can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the first 2. Clarification, I want to let them know it's already in the statute.
Is there a motion? Motion been made, is there a second? Motion made and second. Take care of the muscles. Rule 1.3.
Ray, all in favor?
Sir?
All in favor?
That's what I'm going to say, to take care of the muscles. All in favor of taking care of the muscles, say aye. Okay. The muscles are secured.
Okay.
The next one is Rule 1.4. This is our statewide creel limits. The first one is for Simpson County Lake. This is a state fishing lake near McGee, between McGee and Maintenance Hall. It's been closed a number of years. We renovated that lake after some dam repairs were made. And so we will plan to open it the first part of June, and we want to set the current length limits there. For largemouth bass, it'll be a 14 to 22 inch slot limit. 10 per day, allowing 1 over 22, 20 brown per day, and 15 brown per day. The next change we want to
Wait a
make.
minute, what size crappie, Jerry?
Any size.
Any size?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We just want to limit the number. Usually when we reopen these lakes, especially that first few weeks, they just get hammered. They've never seen a jig or a hook, so they're biting anything they put in. This is trying to protect the resource there and kind of extend those good catch rates, quality fishing for a longer period of time.
Is Simpson County Lake, is it operable right? Can they go fishing on it today?
No, sir.
When?
It's closed to the public, and we plan to reopen it in June.
June.
It's been closed since around 2020.
Oh, I know it's been closed for several years.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty late right there on the road.
So those are for Simpson County Lake, and then we would like to remove some restrictions. The first is largemouth bass slot limit and the brim and crappie that reduced daily limit at Trace State Park, and then remove the brim daily limit at Lakeview and Crawford. Now, statewide limits will still apply to these fish. We're just removing the reduced rates that we have when we open them. And that's all the changes for Rule 1.4.
Any more discussion on Rule 1.4? Is there a motion? Motion been made, is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
All right.
Jerry, let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
Who was Mary Crawford?
Why'd you have to ask me that?
I don't know.
I know I've asked the manager, and they have researched it and told me several years ago. I cannot remember it this time. I don't know if you remember. So I will find out and I will send you an email.
I asked a question one time on Lamar Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
This when I first came on the commission. It said, well, it used to be a congressman. Well, I looked up, we ain't ever had a congressman named Lamar Bruce. He was the local game warden that lived in that area, that worked at the lake bank. That's who they named it after.
Well, I'll tell you what,
and I don't know if Mary Crawford was a game warden, but
at the May meeting, I'm gonna tell you who Mary Crawford was, hopefully.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. I didn't know, but I didn't know who Lamar Bruce was either till I asked.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, the next one is Rule 2.1. This is regulations regarding state fishing lakes. Several changes here. The first being, we would like to change the requirements for purchasing exempt lake permits. These are reduced rates. Normally that was for ages 65 and over or disabled. We want to reduce that age from 65 to 62. And we also want to include veterans and active service members as being eligible to purchase an exempt lake permit. That'll apply for fishing, boating, and Camden at our state fishing lakes. The next change is to remove all references to Kemper County Lake. You may be familiar that House Bill 904 removed Kemper County, will be transferring Kemper County Lake from Tombigbee to Kemper County. And then it can be leased to a water supply district, probably Pat Harrison. So we removed that from our rules. We removed Simpson County Lake from being closed since we expect to open it in June. We inserted language that was in the state park rule into ours, discussing use of off-road non-title vehicles, primarily ATVs from riding on our facilities. But it will still allow golf carts and those speed motor vehicles to be used within the campgrounds. And then as Russ mentioned, we're going to allow, propose to allow hunting at Colin Panther Lake. There's a little over 1,000 acres of land around that lake. And we added the language in there that will basically open that up per the WMA rules. And it will allow, the dogs not to be on a leash, which is a rule in our facilities while they're squirrel hunting.
Yeah.
So that's all the changes.
Any questions? All right, do I have a motion on Rule 2.1?
So moved.
Motion's been made, there's a second. Motion's been made, second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, Jerry. Thank you, sir. Found out about Mary Crawford. Whoever that is. Who's next, y'all?
Parks.
Yeah, Brian. Brian Ferguson, Chief of Staff. Let's do it on that.
Morning, gentlemen. Just want to give a couple quick updates before we get to the final rules. All great things happening in the parks. Just a quick note on the, so we're completely, fully committed to this capital improvement program we have in place over the next 3 years. Just some updates on the park campgrounds we expect to close in the next few weeks and months. The one at Percy Quinn is going to go through a full renovation of about 55 sites there, so we're going to close that campground down to do those renovations for wastewater and some electric work and also all the camp pads there. So we expect that to start closing here in a few weeks. Well, actually around July 1st. Well, actually after the 4th of July, so July 5th is the expected date now. Hall B will be happening soon after that campground. We'll close some of those camp sites in phases. And soon after that, Roosevelt will likely be, we'll have to close some of those too. So hopefully we're giving them between 250 and 360 days to have all those campgrounds completed. And when we reopen them, they'll all be brand new. Currently have about 25 cabinets that are currently under renovations. 10 of those in Natchez, 9 in Percy Queen, and 6 over at Roosevelt. So renovations are happening in multiple places around the state. Some good news for us that we think we have a event coordinator that's starting here tomorrow. So there'll be a person that can help us plan some events around the state, trying to get out days, those things stuff, and some outreach events around the state going. I just wanted to kind of point out two of our great staff members that we've had doing a lot of great work around the state. Tony Hammond and Stu Rayburn. Tony's done a great job with some of the improvements to the landscape. If you go around some of the parks starting in the south now, they're doing a lot of stride fires and a lot of other things. And also thanks to the Wildlife Bureau for helping with a lot of that also. Stu's done a great job with our retail stores. What we're hoping to do is open about 5 retail stores here over the summer. We actually came out here yesterday and hopefully we get Casa, the camp store here soon too. So great locations here. But we have Roosevelt being renovated right now, getting started, and Hall B has a great one down on the lakefront area for that one as well. So we're hoping to get those up here soon. Over the last 40 days, the first 40 days are now with our new reservation system. We brought in about $2 million in sales, so all records for us there. Those numbers will wane a little bit when we start closing campgrounds. We do expect it, but we expect that once they're open, that we'll have a lot more support there as well. And one of the last things we wanted to try to accomplish over the summer is trying to get people back outdoors on the water. So we are bringing out kayaks. We're trying to cover some of our bases on the legal and our some of the safety concerns that we have there. Once we figure out that, we'll have hopefully bring back some kayaks and paddle boats and get people back on the water as well. Give people more opportunities to rent those from our locations. So all good stuff there. If there's no questions, I'll get on to both rules, both our finals. Rule 1.1, we didn't have any public comment for those, so I asked the commission to approve the final for that.
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
All right, last rule is rule 1.2, also no public comments for that as well, so I ask the commission to also approve that as final.
I'll make a motion.
Motion been made to accept that rule number 1.2. Second. Second? Was that you?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rose. Motion been made and second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. I got you, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
I got you.
Jerry Carter, what happened to you reinstators? Just a little bit too far away, ain't it? One of them in Lucedale, one of them in Brookhaven. That's a long way to come.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. Law enforcement, with their report on the license and compliance checks for the month of March, there were a total of 750 citations issued. Our top 5 being no license at 128, PFD violations was 50, trespassing was 44, no boat registration was 38, and no WMA permit was 26. On the next page, on March 24th, as everybody's aware of the severe storm that came across our state. This is in the town of Rolling Fork, Silver City, and Amory, with several residents were affected by the storm. During that night that the storm had came through these towns, we had approximately 70 officers responded to the storm that night while assisting with search and rescue efforts.
Did you say 70?
70 officers that night, yes, sir. That was in all the affected areas. And I'd like to say a big thanks to all of those officers that answered the call and got on the radio room, and all the contacting all those officers to come to those affected areas. It was pretty devastating.
Jerry, I'd like to mention that I went down to Rolling Fork 2 days after.
Yes, sir.
And we had our command center set up, and I was really impressed and really proud of all our men down there and women that were working the town. And I heard from several citizens who were very thankful we were there.
Yes, sir. At the end of the mission that our officers did, the time they were there, approximately 2 weeks, we had a total of 1,200 officers, 112 officers that responded, assisting with the efforts down there in those areas overall. On the next page, it shows you the officers on the next day doing the briefing for search and rescue efforts. Basically, majority of them were our SRT units that were assisting in the search and rescue efforts on that next day. On our next page, you'll see the communications, our GIS guys, assisting officers with the tornado event. All those men in that GIS facility in the trailer, they are top notch. They were mapping areas. We got drones flying overhead, assisting with the search and rescue efforts to find our subjects injured or deceased. So they did a great job in that facility that they have. And also, like I said, thanks to Mr. Charlie Bridge, he was very. We had our facility parked there in front of USDA, so he gave us access to the building for any additional needs. So we'd like to thank USDA, Mr. Bridge, for
giving us use of that facility. On our next page, as we got out of the transition from search and rescue, we went into security and traffic system there in those towns in Amory. Also, the road assisting the locals, police department, sheriff department with traffic control and providing security as well throughout the night. We basically worked 24 hours there in Rolling Fork, and we worked day hours there in Amory. And we assisted them with traffic and also light crew putting up light lines, trying to get power restored back to those cities. On our next page, you'll see where I went and visited Amory. That's Officer Jay Holman. Jay's a Monroe County officer that did suffer some storm damage. I had the opportunity to attend a meeting with our chiefs in the Southeastern as we prepare for the CFA conference. The president of the board of the chiefs in the Southeastern, they are sending a check to Officer Holman for $500. So we'd like to say thank you to the Southeastern Chiefs for donating that check to him. It's in the mail now as we speak. Lastly, our shooting range on our customer counts from March 13th, 2023 to April 2nd, 2023. McIver had a total of 332 customers. Turcotte had a total of 456, and McHenry had a total of 495 customers. That is my report.
Anybody got any questions for Colonel Carter?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great job on search and rescue.
Thank you, sir.
Heard so many good things about it. Really good.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Posey, we got any other business?
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to, let everyone know that, legislation session is closed out, and I'd like to thank the legislators and the governor and the lieutenant governor and speaker for providing us with another good budget, and enough money to continue our work in the parks that we're doing. A lot of our stuff is, pending the governor's signature, and there's some general legislation that we'll have to look at once it's passed, and he has until the 20th to sign it, and we'll look at, discuss some of that in the next meeting, which would be, it's set for our Thursday, May 18th at 10 a.m. at our headquarters. We'll have our 10 a.m. will be the fallen officers memorial, and then at 1 p.m. we would have a regular commission meeting.
And Sharon asking everybody to wear a tie so that you may get a picture.
Okay, I'll have to do that.
What about executive session?
There's no one need one. I'm sure we'll probably need one next meeting possibly, but not today.
Good point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn is always in order, as you say.
That is. Thank y'all, please share my birthday.